Ain't no last calls here.
Bar Talk with Jay.
Bar Talk with Jay is back to review. That's right, on your mind, on time. Welcome. One of the things I want to tell you is brought to you by R&B Roll-Off. That's right, a little small roll-off company is doing big things. And again, they sponsored with who? Bar Talk with Jay to advertise them. So go to my website, you'll be able to see all the things that they do. And I like to say small companies is trying to show big companies that we can do big things too. That's right.
Absolutely.
Not to mention that I am a part of it. That's right. Hey, I might be a part of it, but bottom line, I was advertising beforehand. Stop it.
Right.
One of the things I really want you to see is small companies are a great force in the United States.
Absolutely.
And we're going to make changes. I like to say great customer service. That's what I really want to advertise for them because I'm a part of them and I'm huge on customer service and respect.
Okay.
In relationships, I think respect is one of the highly things that most people don't talk about that I really think causes relationships to go sour.
Mm-hmm.
And also when it comes to business service. Because I feel like you're supposed to be getting good service no matter what you do.
Yeah.
And I don't really feel it when I'm out there in my everyday.
Yeah. Service is lacking in the world.
So
let's
make some changes.
There you go.
So now I have to get back to my man. Craftmatic is in the building with me tonight. Craftmatic, how you doing, big baby?
Man, I'm good. As usual, I'm always good, man. Life is just moving in the right direction. Of course, I'm staying prayed up, so I don't have to look over my shoulder too much. But everything is going well, man. I just want to say welcome to all of our guests tonight. This is Bar Talk with Jay. And what we do is basically inspire people through dialogue. Helping people to better understand themselves, better understand perhaps the situations and circumstances that you may be going through or have gone through and potentially may go through. This is about real life, and sometimes we're a little edgy, but the subject is a little edgy, but we're always going to bring it back to a positive, powerful message for our audiences. So we thank you for being here with us tonight. And how are you doing, Mr. J?
Let me tell you, all day, every day, very blessed. And one of the things I will have to tell you is when you get a good team together, and I know a lot of y'all are single and everybody might feel like, something, I don't need nobody. Stop that, okay? You might not be surrounding yourself with the right people. So start venturing out and understand the hurt that you went through is not where you're going to stay, okay? Because now I got people in my life that when they come in, I get excited because they don't come with the hoopla. Right. They don't come with problems.
Right.
They're coming to me with, okay, what we got next? Mm-hmm. It's another phase of your life that you need to get into. And Absolutely. The drama phase about who did what, oh, guess what the president did. They never come to me with that. Right. When you come to me, you never ask me about politics. It's like, Cool J, what's going on? What we got? And it makes me realize what happens out there can stay out there.
Right.
You gotta have your own circle, and that circle has to celebrate you. So then it's a celebration anytime you're around good people.
Right.
One of the things I want to make sure y'all recognize, because some of y'all just let anybody in your life, and your life just run amok, and then you wonder why you ain't happy, and because you look what you're carrying. Yeah. You're carrying things that's not necessary.
Yeah.
You got a leaf, then you had a branch.
Right.
You never had no roots.
Right.
So you trying to figure out why you dying. Right, because you're starving.
Yeah, listen, picking your team is so very important, and it's kind of unfortunate that we have to live life like that, but if the person or your friend is not going to take you to the next level, you can still love them and care for them, but they may not necessarily be on your team. And so we're just encouraging people tonight, pick a great team, because whoever's on your team says where you're going.
Ooh, say it again.
Right? Your team indicates where you're going. And I don't know the line. Jay-Z just had a line in his him and Beyonce's new album. And he said something to the fact that if everybody in your team is broke but you still broke. Right?
I gotta pick a better team.
Yeah, you gotta pick a better team. So, speaking of team, we got Miss Barbara in the house tonight.
That's right.
Hello, Miss Barbara. How are you tonight?
Georgia.
Barbara's here. How's everybody doing tonight?
We're doing good. Haven't heard from you in a little while, but Barbara's behind the scenes on just about everything we do. So whether she's in the studio or not, she adds a great deal of value, and we most certainly appreciate you. So you were going to give us some commentary, or you want to do our prayer tonight?
You got it.
Okay, well, the floor is on you.
You got it.
You got praise, Trav.
Say again.
Oh,
Trav is gonna do the prayer.
oh, okay. I think she just forwarded back to you, Crab.
Oh, she want me to do the prayer?
Yeah, man.
Oh,
She handed it off.
Come on now.
And you
gotta help us out.
Oh, ain't nobody know that.
All right, here we go. Here we go. Let's just bow our heads and thank our Heavenly Father for being here tonight. We thank you, Father, for this great week that we are in the midst of, and we ask, Father, for a strong finish this week, and we ask for a strong finish in this year. We're now moving into the time where our year is moving to a close, and all the holidays and many of our accomplishments are already behind us. We ask, Father, that you would strengthen us for a great and strong finish for this year. Whatever tasks, whatever goals need to be accomplished that people have set out and just have not quite achieved, I ask that you would support them and that you would reveal their gifts and that you would open the doorway for their greatest joys and their greatest goals and their greatest visions to be realized in their life. We ask for your anointing upon all of our lives, especially this show here tonight. We thank you for being here, and we ask that you would speak through us in a special way. Asking this, we know this to be true. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Okay, where that collection play? Where that collection play?
I always have to stop myself from praying because I pray 20, 30, 40 minutes at a time, you know.
We notice it.
When I get in the spirit, that's how you're supposed to pray, Jay. You always know. That's the way it's supposed to go.
Wasn't stopping there. I was like, go grab,
Yeah,
but the
man.
show only like 2 hours,
Yeah,
man. 2
we-
hours.
Listen, on a 2-hour show, you need 40 minutes of prayer.
You about to get to it. You about to get
I was
to it.
just about to.
Well,
Yeah, so Barbara, did you want to go ahead and do our quote for us tonight? Or, actually, we probably should recap real quick. Should we do that?
Just need to recap first.
Okay, let's talk about last week's show. It was a very interesting show, folks. And if you didn't get a chance to see us, we're all over the internet, and you can certainly go back and listen to it. The title of it was "In a Relationship, What is the Main Reason People Break Up?" Let's talk a little. We talked a little bit about the screening process and some of the successes versus the failure rates. And our shows are just so deep.
Y'all need to go back and listen to that one because I really think that we gave a good breakdown about relationships and where everything is going.
Yeah.
The bottom line is, like, again, people blaming apps. People ain't being accountable for their own actions.
That's it.
You know, and these excuses need to stop, and we need to be more accountable because the bottom line is if you have clear communication and you actually put some of your things on the upfront, you might get more on the back end. But I like to say if people ain't being honest, which I like to say is being the case, they're lying and they're getting things from the lie and then they're not achieving anything because they can't even live up to the lie.
Right.
These are the things that's disappointing because that's just a bad decision.
Yes.
But I can't just talk about one person because multiple people do it in different fashions.
Right.
Some people just flaunt it with they material things, with their cars. They don't say it.
Right.
They know what to do to get your eye.
Right.
So again, we are all doing things knowingly that it's not for a positive outcome.
Right.
My whole thing is your life should be a blessing.
Right.
I've entered a lot of people's lives, crap. And I will say this don't got nothing to do with the last week's topic, but I'm gonna go to it real quick. I entered a lot of people's lives, and when I entered them, it didn't work out. But at least I like to say at the end, it might have been somewhat bitter, but I left positive things behind.
Right.
I didn't do anything to her kids, or her real mental state. Well, I can't say her mental state 'cause I made her crazy. But I'm just being honest. If everybody got a little crazy in them, I can bring it out of them real easy because obviously I got a little tendency to be crazy. But I will say is I made sure respect was there.
Okay.
And I respected her and the kids all the way through.
Yeah, breakup is never easy.
It's never.
And to be able, in whatever way you can, to leave respect behind you is so important. You know, so you don't have these things following you around life. You know.
Oh yeah. Tearing up your car.
Looking over your shoulder for anything. I think you hit the nail. You know, people need to be more self-accountable. Some of the other reasons that people break up is money.
Oh, yeah.
Money and families are broken apart all the time. Families are broken up all the time because of money. And there's so many variables in the midst of money. You know, people misspend, people not willing to get up and go out and work for the family. People mismanage money, all kinds of stuff. Money goes missing, you name it. Cheating is another major reason why people break up.
Yeah,
right?
That kind of breaks trust.
Yes, it breaks trust big time, right?
Yeah,
and here's one of the reasons that was kind of the most enlightening to me is that people break up because they don't feel heard or understood.
Yeah, communication.
Communication, a lack of communication. And if you're not heard or understood, you have no other choice but to detach. That is the product of self-preservation. And so, we just, midlife crisis I had here. Midlife crisis sometimes break people up, finding a younger woman, a younger man, being bored in a relationship, right? There's nothing to stimulate you. And I know Jamal talked about, you really need to step your game up, fellas, because if you are married or you live with a woman or she's your girlfriend, she wants and needs to be loved. She needs your attention. She needs your care. Here's a big point that he said. You need to spend money on her. You need to invest in her. And that means doing some nice things, maybe taking a trip. Maybe it's just eating out a little more so that she doesn't have to, worry about cooking as much, for example. But we got to love up on these women, and we got to love up on our significant others, or we're going to end up losing them. So it was a really, really good show. Please go back to our website, bartalkwithjay.com. We're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram.
Black Planet. Man, we on everything. I don't know about the Black Planet. I gotta say, I gotta be yours lead into it.
Black Planet.
No matter where y'all go, make sure y'all like, share.
Yeah, very
like
important.
again.
Yeah.
Because on YouTube, again, we're trying to get our ratings up, and one of the things I want y'all to do is go back, because what happens on Facebook, my man Booby's in the studio, he cleans it up and makes it in a way that I'm telling you is fabulous.
That's why I love the
So
YouTube.
definitely go back to that. Periscope, again, some of y'all don't like the Facebook, you got the Periscope. We run media all over.
Yeah.
Reason why, I don't know how you want it.
Right.
And then Spreaker gives it to you where you just got the audio, because it is a radio show.
Right.
So no matter how you want it, we want to make sure we give it to you. Again, I can send it to you, but again, you can subscribe. Reason I ask you to subscribe and not wait on me, I have so much going on, I don't always get it out in time.
Right.
Don't rely on me. Go ahead and go with the prescription. And again, same thing with YouTube. My man Booby uploads. Guess what? You automatically get it.
Yeah.
I want y'all to have it, because one of the things I want y'all to do is just hold on to it. Because when things happen, you can go back. Because people always say all the time, what topic did you do? Did you go? We got so many different
We got so many. We got nearly 150 shows.
Easy. And
Right?
remember, we right there at the 2-year mark. My man Booby gonna come back with me later on this week and let me know where we're gonna be partying at.
Right.
Now, when I say partying, we're gonna kick it at a club that's already popping. We're going in there and we popping bottles. We having fun. We want y'all to come out and have fun with us, but it's not gonna be us having a show. It's about us enjoying each other, because this is 2-year mark.
There you go.
It's time for us to get off the mic and let y'all do some talking, let y'all do some partying with us, and let us do an enjoying of life. Because this is a joy for me to bring this show together, but the best thing is enjoying the company. Everybody that comes together in this show is like family to me.
There you go.
So as many people I can get out, I'm definitely going to. So please, when I announce it next week, come on out, enjoy us. If you're not able to make it out, sorry, probably won't be videotaping it, because I'll probably be plastered.
Yeah. And let me just plant this seed before we go to our quote for today. That while Jay was commenting, I thought to myself, why listen to Bar Talk with Jay? And the primary reason is because we're only here to inspire. We're only here to uplift. We're only here to reveal love and to help and to really give back to the community. And if you got another show that you want to watch or listen to, ask yourself if they're trying to do that. Most of them are really just trying to entertain you. Ultimately, there is always going to be an entertainment factor, but more importantly, we're really just trying to love up on the community, and we're most concerned with the well-being of mankind and the state of mind of humanity and families, etc. So when you hear our material, you'll see that we're really talking about real stuff under the surface, and that's the reason to listen to Bar Talk with Jay. So Barbara, go ahead and give us a quote for today. Would you like to open the door on that?
Yes, I can. Anyone can give up the easiest thing in the world to do, but to hold it together when everyone else is faking you to fall apart is true strength. I have a recognition on that when my kids were injured, everybody thought that I was just going to fall apart. But the thing about it is that you got to have faith, and you got to know that God is going to be there for you, and He's not going to let you be able to. He's going to let you be able to accomplish anything that you can do.
Yes. Yes. Man, yeah, I just want to just dialogue for a minute. I know we only got about 5 minutes or so before our first break, but I had a partner of mine that called me the other night, and I was busy, so he kept calling. And I had like 5 or 6 missed calls from him. And so I called him back, and I was really kind of giving him a hard time at first, like, come on, bro, you know what I'm saying? You know, something happened, you got an accident, you passed, you know, why you blowing my phone up like that? And I heard the tone of his voice. He said, Kraft, I don't know what to say, man. I don't know what to do no more. You know, I'm just broken. I'm going through some hard times, man. I just feel so broken. And my heart just poured out to him, because I know that the first part of healing is admitting that you're sick, right? Admitting that something is wrong, something has gone awry. And so I spent about 30 minutes in dialogue with him, but the 2 things that I told him that I want to share with our audience is, when you're going through hard times, it's easy to give up, you know, just like Barbara said, anyone can give up. So you have to find true strength, and you'll find true strength by not leaning on your own understanding. See, that's part of how you got in that situation, is you leaning on yourself and how you think and what you want and what you need. And I'm encouraging you to lean on God's understanding. And when you lean on God's understanding, His understanding is that, hey, I'll never forsake you. I'll never put you to shame. You know, your enemies shall be your footstool. You know, you'll start to get some strength by leaning on what He can do for us rather than what we can do for ourselves. The second thing was that I told him that if you're not experiencing wholeness and completeness and perfection in your life in any area, it potentially is because you are under attack. And that's a heavy idea for a lot of people to internalize. Those who practice Christianity know it very well. That when you are under attack, you're being attacked spiritually, and you can't see the enemy. You may be able to experience the effects of the enemy, but if you are not aware that you are potentially being attacked by the enemy, then you're certainly not doing anything to overcome it. And so lean on God's understanding and really get the fundamental understanding of how to do spiritual warfare. Because we come against the spiritual world, not necessarily the physical world. And there's a lot more I'd like to say about that. But the last thing you want to do is give up. The last thing you want to do is act like there is no hope. Because there is always hope. No matter what's going on around you, hope starts within the heart and within the mind. And if you can build yourself up on the inside, then you'll see the outside world start to reflect that as well, and it'll build up on its own accord. Barbara just put one statement in here that for me to just dialogue about, and I'll do it quickly. It says, how do we survive the storms of life? And I think this is exactly what we're talking about tonight. How do we survive the storms of life? Well, we lean on God's understanding. We get laser focused on doing some spiritual warfare. The philosophy that we all have to live by is, you got to know that you are bigger than the problem. You have to know that you are bigger than the problem. And one of the techniques to help you build that that inner strength is that you got to talk to your situation and talk to your problems, talk down to them. Maybe talk more positive about the issue that you're going through. Talk about the solutions rather than always talking about the problems. It's easy to talk about how you feel. You've been hurt. You're disappointed. You're upset. You're sad. You're in pain. It's easy to talk about those. But to talk about, I'm going to be strengthened. I'm going to get over this. I'm going to do it better next time. I will not fail again. Those are the kind of ideas that help strengthen you in the midst of a storm. And I promise you, folks, nobody can get that mentality for you. You have to do it yourself. And if you do it, if you just practice some positive mental attitude, if you just practice thinking beyond the problem and trying to find some solutions, I promise you'll find it. Because when you knock at the door, the answer will be revealed to you just as soon as you knock. So I'll let that go. I think it's time for break. Any comments on that, Jay?
Man, it's definitely time for break. But one of the things I want to say is, man, what you just said was profound. And if y'all really understand, when you go through a storm, you learn a lot of things. You face fears. You start understanding that things is just not what you thought they would be.
Mm-hmm.
And then you understand facing.
Right.
So a lot of times people go through storms and they stop. Well, the storm going to keep on going around you. You got to understand how to keep walking through.
Right.
Walking as in not giving up.
Right.
Keep your work and get through. Because once you get through, there's going to be another storm coming. But you should have learned from the last storm. So the next storm won't be so bad.
Right.
And that way you'll learn about how to prepare. If I ever went for an interview and I didn't know and I sat down and I got hammered and I didn't do good, the next one I should do even better. And that's what I feel like storms are. Don't be scared to fail. There's a lot of times you got to walk into a situation where you're not sharp, but you can get sharp. Sometimes people can't rehearse you enough. You got to go do it. But once you do it, don't feel failure, okay? Even though you didn't do good, don't feel failure. Take that situation, make it a lesson, and go into your next one. And next thing you know, your confidence is strong, and you're a different person.
There you go.
I just want to make sure you don't go through these storms afraid and just getting through them with the bare necessities when all these storms are bringing you so much and you're gathering so little. It's up to you.
There you go. And folks, it is time for our first break. Let me introduce the subject for tonight, and we're going to take a few moments to listen to a little some good music. We're talking tonight about raising children in today's environment. How would you handle the situation? And we're going to talk about several situations. I know Barbara has been under some extreme pressures regarding her children in the last several months. And, we'd love to hear from her. We're going to hear from Jamal. We're going to hear from the good Reverend Dr. Jeffrey tonight. And you folks stay with us. We got an exciting show lined up with some great dialogue. And we know it's going to be a blessing to everybody involved. So if you all will stay with us, we'll be right back with more Bar Talk with Jay right after this.
Man, I got my next door neighbor here, and one of the reasons I brought her in is because of the topic.
Yeah.
The reason I brought her in, she's a mentor.
Okay.
Now, when I told her about the topic, she said, I ain't got no kids. I was like I didn't know that. I know you and your husband ain't got no kids.
Right.
I got 2 dogs that keep barking at night. I be trying to tell them, bring them in a little early. That's fun.
Yeah. But
they be out there, man. They fun. I watch them. One of them be sitting up on the couch chilling. The other one will be running around. I be like, see, the one sitting up there, he might be a good. I ain't running for nothing. You go ahead and do you. I'm gonna sit up here and chill. Anyway, she's my neighbor, been a mentor towards the kids. She got a lot of things she can add value to when we get more into the subject. Because again, today's time, we gotta start looking at things a lot differently. What I love about her, she's in the classroom.
Right.
So she might be able to bring a little bit more to our attention because we don't spend as much time with these kids as they do.
Right. We don't spend any time.
We like to say we do because when we get home, they get on our nerves. Well,
Yeah.
they get on hers too, and she got a whole bunch of them. And I want to know how she do it because I'm gonna tell you right now, I can't do it. That's just me.
Former teacher.
That's
yes.
because they drove her crazy.
It was the adults.
It was the adults.
It was the adults
It
that
wasn't
did
the kids.
It wasn't the kids.
Yeah, I
Them
understand
kids
that
be
too.
getting to me. I'm just trying to tell you.
Yeah.
The adults out there
We
with
got some adults.
I
who-
got a taser for them. I can't tase little ones, but I can do them adults. I
Yeah, we-
girl like a flock of
We
fish.
got some adults who didn't quite get it either,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Just trying to shock the heck out of
we're gonna talk a lot more about that because see, there's some ailments going on in the world, some mental and emotional and all kinds of ailments.
Oh yeah, and drugs too.
You know that we can't see readily, but people are going through a lot of pain. People are, you know, I guess get on the wrong track sometimes from some things that they didn't get from their childhood. And you know, we want to talk about that. You know, we want to really talk about what's going on in the world. What people aren't learning, what they are learning. You know, how do you teach your children? How do you develop your kids, even your neighbors' kids, if you're going to have any communication with them, which obviously you are. You know,
Right.
my dad was always the one. Is Jamal coming?
No, Jamal couldn't get them on.
Yeah, my
He
dad.
travels all the time.
Okay. My dad was one of those dads who was, you know, I'd come home from school and he'd be out in the yard throwing the football with 3 or 4 of the other kids in the neighborhood. You know, he'd be outside and, you know, cleaning up the yard, raking and cutting the grass, and, you know, 2 or 3 of the other kids would want to help my dad cut the yard because he was a father figure in our community, and everybody knew it. We kind of depended on it, you know, after a while in the community for him to be, you know, the person who was going to, I guess, be a leader, you know, in our community. So I was raised by someone who I'm just proud to know, and who I think gave me a lot of great lessons. But what are those lessons that perhaps we got in our generation that perhaps, you know, we're not teaching or that needs to be taught in the younger generation? You know, we had a show where we talked about the differences between the 80s and 90s versus the era of today. And I think there's a lot of discussion that need to be had around how we are developing our young people. You know, if you don't have a young person in your home, you probably don't have much interaction with them at all. You know, like, you know, like me, I don't have kids in my home, so I don't half the time know when school starts. I don't know, you know, I don't have to do nothing but buy clothes for school because my kids are half grown. But we got to talk about it, and why don't we dive in since Jamal's not with us?
I'll go first. One of the things I liked is like what you said, how your dad was out there. One of the things we don't do no more in the community is know your neighbor. That's why my neighbor's here. Why? Normally they move in, you look at them, and like I say, my neighbor and her husband, nice couple. When they came in, they was very nice, and then they got meted by my other neighbor.
Right.
Marsha gonna meet everybody.
Right.
Okay. So I don't gotta meet them. I just go to Marsha. Marsha, what's up with them? Oh, they ain't this guy with this, that, and the other. You know, because you always got that one person in your neighborhood. You know everybody, gonna make sure they know everybody. And as far as I'm concerned, she keep the peace.
Right.
So go to Marsha. Marsha let me know. So of course I went over and I met them. Great people. Love to celebrate Halloween. My birthday. What? They do my birthday justice. And I mean, they think about me every year. They do big things. I'm always there, and I'm loving what they do.
Right.
But I was out there to meet them.
Right.
You have to take time to know people that's around you. It helps your kids recognize social skills. They see you out there.
Right.
So when they feel like they don't want to be social to their friends or what, you're leaving an example of what they might want to do later. Because kids gonna do kids.
Right.
But we gotta do the right things and realize that these kids are watching. We're on the interview all the time. So when we cut up and just be a fool all the time, you want to your kids act so foolish, you gotta understand, they catch the worst side of you and they gonna grab it and run with it.
Right.
My whole thing is just to understand, your interview is strong. So when you out there with your neighbors and you want to cut a fool with your neighbors, always talking about them, cussing them out, you want while your kids in their school doing the same thing, they watching you.
Absolutely.
Daddy, you out there, you giving her the business. So when I go to school, I'm gonna give them the business. And that ain't what you want.
That's right.
But that person next to you giving you the business, y'all gotta learn how to communicate without that. If it's that bad, y'all stop talking.
Right.
Because I don't accept that kind of bullcrap.
Right.
I don't have to accept drama.
Right.
You can love me, you can tell me there's nothing I can do about it, that's cool. But I ain't got to accept your drama.
Right.
I'll take your love. That came freely. I'm good with that because I got a lot of love I want to pour back.
Mm-hmm.
But when it ain't being poured evenly, I ain't going to accept that bull.
Mm-hmm.
Understand what's around you. Surround yourself with better people. And again, sometimes your neighbors you can't always choose. But I like to say you can put a hand out of a friendship before a fist out. And I like to say a lot of times we prejudge them. They coming in with the nice cars, they must be bougie. That's your way of thinking. How about just find out? You don't know how they got theirs. And that's why I'm really concerned about our kids because of what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
We so busy running as the Joneses that we ain't teaching our own. Don't run behind them and run after. You need to understand, stay in your zone.
Right.
What works for you, where you want to be. It's called goal building. Build them goals up and make sure they got a dream and go fulfill it, not just what they see, because what's on TV is an illusion.
Absolutely.
By the time I found out, I was pissed off.
Right.
I was mad. You can ask my kids. They ain't raised up thinking about no Santa coming down no chimney. Talking about, Daddy gonna leave some cookies for Santa? I say, you gonna leave them cookies for me. I bought them dang on gifts. You ain't gonna give somebody else no credit for me.
Right.
You raised as a mother. But Daddy on TV, it was reindeer. I said, listen, I don't care what the TV done showed you. Daddy went out and got that. Why looking at me like, you gonna tell them? I'm like, listen, because you wanna put with that foolishness, we gonna let somebody know the truth.
Right.
Daddy went on out there, okay? I ain't gonna tell you what's underneath the tree, but when you open it up, you better turn right here.
Yeah.
Hand me them cookies.
Yeah.
And understand, I broke my back to make sure you had something. So now, when they grown, they make me laugh. They're like, well, Daddy, you kind of spoiled Christmas for us, because you just let me know. I ain't spoiled nothing, because you still got good gifts. But you wasn't gonna believe something that they was passing down
Right.
that needs to stop.
Right.
I'm not with that. Easter Bunny, listen, you go out there and have some fun, but we need to bring some reality to some foolishness. I feel like it's cartoonish.
Absolutely.
But we want to act like they done Google. You can get a 5-year-old and tell them about Christmas, and they can tell you more than what you want to know. But unfortunately, Google ain't gonna tell you too much about Jesus. I'm just trying to help you out real quick, so you might want to not ask
Right.
Google that.
Right.
But I will tell you, when you ask anything else about sex and everything else, Google will help them understand, and YouTube will show them what you don't care them to know.
Right.
So quit playing around acting like they don't know. And the birds and the bees,
Right.
they might tell you it didn't look like no birds and bees from what I've seen.
Right.
So some of our old ways need to stop, and let's get a dialogue that these young people can actually say, okay, because by the time you have it, I promise they're pretty much already kind of new. I ain't gonna say they know,
Yeah.
as in they get anything,
Yeah.
but they have a little bit more knowledge, and they talk so much clearer.
No, they know.
And then they walk in, and Lord knows they be like, Daddy, you have to be rough on mama. And listen,
Lord.
it was just from the perception of what you seen now. But if you want to play with it
Oh,
and
it's
say,
heard.
Or her.
yeah, well, that was some good thing. I didn't understand. We like each other. It might not have seen me when you walked in. All that extra stuff she was saying in the leg, she really
Watch out,
didn't
man.
like it.
Talk about
Well, I'm gonna have that the children got.
Come on.
Because if you're playing around the wrong way and you try to denounce the things that happen, they're gonna go back and they're gonna make you feel like a fool. Because you're gonna say they gonna say the same foolish stuff you said.
Yeah.
Knowing you was trying to just kind of downplay it. When you could have just been more like, hold on, some things you shouldn't have walked in on. Do knock on the door. See, we forget about that because we're so embarrassed. They shouldn't just be walking in.
Right.
Okay, did you teach them right? Because they
That's
just walk
respect.
in, bust in, yeah, woo! And you won't say nothing. That moment right there might be embarrassing, but you also had a moment where you can grasp and let them understand, hold on, no matter what you might have seen, some things you did wrong. And again, it's called correction.
Right.
So now
There
they
you go.
busted in on other people and doing things and all of a sudden,
Parenting.
man, parenting falls by the wayside depending on what we do.
Right.
I want to make sure we do things in a way that the young ones understand, but we fall short sometimes. And then you wonder why these kids going rapidly crazy. But hold on, I ain't blaming kids all the time.
Right.
I gotta look at our own actions,
Right.
and then I gotta look at things that I was taught.
Right.
And I've seen some things that I want to make change to, but I don't want to make this be about me. I want it to be about your family and the love that you have for your child, and
Yeah.
to make sure y'all pouring positive things
Right.
to make your child love everyone in a right way, not in this divided craziness that we got today. Because
Right.
most kids do not know about racism.
It's
It's taught.
It's
And,
taught.
and
It's
I like
taught.
to say we're teaching so much wrong, even in black households.
Yeah.
We got to make sure we have a better understanding because your black kid want to play with a white boy. Oh, no, you can't do all this. You're starting the same thing that you keep saying you ain't about. You are on the opposite end, but you're being, I like to say, overly jealous because of what your shortcomings, and now all of a sudden you feel like that's going to help. That makes that child start questioning that other boy just because of color.
Right.
Now he's going to start questioning a whole lot of other things, and now you got a wrong divide. My whole thing is he having fun with them because they don't see that.
Right.
We do because
Right.
different things we was taught. We don't gotta push that off on somebody else just because.
Right.
That's where hatred come from.
Right.
We can't fight it by doing the same thing that it came from. That's insanity.
Absolutely.
Let's do better. And one of the things is recognizing what we do
Right.
before you even talk to them.
Yeah, and you take it right back to self accountability because you got to be accountable for self before you can raise kids. I think you laid it out just perfect, Jay. And I mean that was awesome commentary because, see, every single time during his commentary that he addressed his children, he just told them what was really going on. You can't hide the truth from kids. You cannot run thinking they're not going to figure out the truth. God or the universe is going to make sure they know the truth. And when they figure it out, they're going to look at you and they're going to put you in a category. Did you do the right thing or did you not do the right thing? So they will, and kids can see things that are going on around the house. They can see when parents are arguing all the time or not talking at dinner. They can see when the refrigerator is empty and there's no food in the house. They can see when one parent or the other is staying out all night. They can hear what's going on under the surface. And it's important to include them and talk to them, but in an effort to do that, you have to operate like a family.
True.
Like you just can't tell a child what to do. You're going to involve, the child's going to see something, he's going to hear something, and while y'all cooking dinner, you can dialogue with them about it. You might even ask them, hey, did you see that? What does that mean to you? What do you think that guy was asking me? What do you think happened in this situation? Because they have a perspective. And oftentimes we are, as parents, we know that they kind of know, but we never really test the waters to see how much they know and ask them to reveal it to us as their parent.
Yeah.
I was hanging out with a friend of mine, and she has kids, and the kids are like 14, 16 years old. So immediately they want to talk about boys, and they want to talk about what's going on at school and gossip and all kinds of stuff. And I just listened for a long time actually, but and what I heard was their mother coming out of them. Because they were like, oh no, this boy, he don't want nothing. He don't want number one. This girl's 14 years old and she already gets the game. She's like, he don't want nothing. All he want to do is just, try to get fresh with me, right? I'm looking for a real man, somebody who gonna approach me right, and somebody who want to talk, and somebody who knows something. And I'm listening to it like, wow, this is coming out of a 14-year-old girl.
Yeah.
So they are paying attention, and we need to make sure and pay attention. It is time for us to go to break, and you folks will bear with us. You can see we already going in.
Yeah, we're going hard in the paint, but
right?
we got my boy Jeffrey up next. And then again, when I tell you somebody gonna slap the taste out your mouth,
Yeah.
I hope he had a good day at work. Cause ain't no telling what somebody go on. But we're gonna go to break, and we're gonna be right back with my man.
Yeah, and we gotta mention we got AP in the
Oh
building.
yeah, look
She
at her,
walked
look
in,
at her,
shining.
Hey, not to say my neighbor is like buttered shortcake or nothing. I mean, come on,
no,
we got some good people in the house.
Shining too. Yeah.
Flossing
Absolutely.
up in here.
Yeah.
We got some folks.
Got some folks. Y'all hold on. We'll be right back. We back. We talking about how we coordinating up in here and we doing some things.
But
Right.
before we go to what we doing, oh my God, we gotta ask somebody that's on the phone
Yes.
how his day was. Cause if it wasn't good, y'all about to get it. Jeffrey, how you doing? How was your day?
Man, sorry about that delay. My other line rang. It's like somebody knew that I was about to go off, so they tried to talk me off the ledge. So I apologize about that, brothers and sisters up in this piece. How y'all doing?
Man, we
Alright.
doing fantastic, and you sound full of energy tonight, man.
Yeah.
How was your day, bruh?
My day was stressful.
Nobody
I
get
need
in.
everybody to understand that it's about to be one of them commentaries.
Oh.
Now listen, today is Thursday. It's a beautiful day in the A outside the office building. You know, we got brothers in the building, we got women in the building. We're about to do this thing, but you know what time it is.
Yes, sir. Away we go.
It is time for you to close your mouth and listen. You ask me some questions, I give you some answers from a man's point of view.
Mm-hmm.
Now listen, I got one reason for the habitually single woman and one reason for the habitually single man as to why you might be single. But before we get to that, here is my disclaimer.
Okay.
Now see, what I'm going to talk about might not apply to you, and if it doesn't apply to you, I don't want you to put your foot up in this shoe.
Mm.
But if it does apply to you, I want you to put both feet in both shoes and walk around in them because you're about to learn something tonight. Now ladies, you go first.
Mm.
Ladies, some of y'all are single because you swear up and down that you know exactly what a real man will do.
Mm.
I need you to understand something, ladies. You didn't even grow up with your father in your house. Don't talk to me about what a real man is supposed to do. You don't know. You haven't seen a good example. Here's what I mean. Now, ladies, some of you now, not all of you, but some of you walk around professing your independence and how you don't need a man for this, you don't need a man for that, and that is fine. If you're doing it, sister, keep on doing it. I ain't mad at you. But talk about what real women do. See, real women know how to build up an environment for their man to flourish in, too. A real woman understands that the relationship ain't all about her. It's about the we. A real woman knows how to be cooperative in a relationship, not necessarily argumentative all the time. Now, ladies, please don't mistake me. If somebody's not treating you right, you're supposed to say something. If somebody disrespects you, you're supposed to say something. Don't be trying to argue because you think because you are a woman that you are smarter than a man. That's not what we're talking about. There's some things naturally you do better. There's some things naturally your man does better. Harness what he does and harness what you do and grow something together.
Yes.
There are plenty of women walking around with advanced degrees getting fooled by men who didn't graduate from high school. So don't tell me that women are smarter than men. You might be more educated, but not necessarily smarter. So ladies, this is what I need you to do.
Okay.
Embrace your femininity. Embrace who you are as a woman, who you were born to be, and you're going to attract the right type of man to you that recognizes and appreciates everything you got, everything you don't got, and he's going to bring his thing to the table too. And then you get the partner. But you keep treating men like they're a piece of, some type of fine bag or a pair of shoes that you can just put in the closet when you want to use. Well, you're going to discover that your ass is single, successful, and all that other good stuff, but without a man there to enjoy it with you.
There you go. There you go. Woo! Boy, I tell you what. I almost don't want to comment on this, but
I do. I like to stir it up.
Go ahead, Jay.
Man, why not? I mean, I like it because of the fact that, he went hard in the paint, but he also went soft.
He
Because
did.
there's a lot of
He did.
women out there that do it the right way.
Mhm.
It's not because of the fact that y'all strong-minded and you're business savvy and you got a lot. It's just because, again, you still understand it. My whole problem with this is when you're not understanding and you want to get advice to a person, you ain't got your own life right. That's where I feel like, hold on, stop the bull. And that's what I see from a lot of women where I become successful, but I'm bitter. But I want to give advice, and the advice is going to be bitter because I don't really got the rest of that together. But I'm successful. I'm making a lot of money. So now I want to give relationship advice from a bitter standpoint. That's not always good because you can get yourself together. And you might not feel that way when you find the right one, but you're going to pass it on down. Now somebody else going to be bitter, and you're passing a legacy that was already passed before you. When are we going to stop some of that and realize some things we can control? If you bitter and things didn't work your way, guess what? You still got yourself.
There you go.
Grab back and understand. They might not understand you, and then you can gravitate to change wherever you put it out. Because we normally grab that same person back in. You got to change some things in you. See some things a little bit different, and next thing you know, that a different type person in your life, then all of a sudden you feel totally different. Guess what? Now you won't be talking that same rhetoric that we all are feeling today, that I really feel like we gotta watch.
Yeah, and Jeffrey's comment is that women swear up and down that they know what a man is supposed to do. And there are some women who've been around many men that grew up with their uncles, the cousins, maybe they have an ex-husband, their fathers. Those are all great examples and role models. But if you haven't been exposed to men a lot, you may not know what a man is supposed to do, and you may not know how to treat a man.
This is true.
And that works on both sides of the equation. It goes both ways. So outstanding commentary.
We gotta get back to Jeffrey.
Outstanding, man.
Jeffrey, don't let the men off the hook. Give it to him, player.
Okay, fellas. Now, I need you to understand, fellas, I am not letting you off the hook. Fellas, you are next.
Okay.
Now, fellas, some of you are single because you've been smothered. Now, I ain't talking about Waffle House smothered covered in chunks. I'm talking about smothered.
Okay.
Your mother has smothered you so much with all this adoration and affection that she ruined you for the next woman, and you don't even have the incentive on the inside to man up. You running around looking for a replacement for your mother. I need you to understand the fine line between what I'm saying a good mother does and a mother that smothers her son. See, a good mother will set a positive example of what a woman does in a relationship, or if she's single, she will set a good example of how a man is supposed to treat a woman.
Yeah.
One or the other. That's what a mother does.
Right.
Now, a motherer will dress that little boy up like the man that broke her heart. The smotherer will have that little boy thinking that he is the head of the household at 10 years old. A smotherer will do everything to sanitize the environment that that little boy is in and rob him of the rites of passage of growing up and being a young man, maturing into a grown man, because she's trying to make it so easy for him. That pacification has led to the wussification of many men right now, and those same wussified men are out here looking for women to replace the smotherer that they grew up under.
Yes.
Now, fellas, I need you to understand something. Whether you've been smothered or mothered, there's a point where you have to grow up and get out your mother's or your father's house
Yes.
and establish your own house. And once you establish your own house, guess what? A woman will see you doing what it is that you do, and she will say, hey, that's someone that I can partner with and I can build something with, and she will invest in you.
Yes.
However, if you've been smothered, that woman's going to look at you and she's going to say, I ain't got time for no foolishness. And she's going to look you over and walk on by. And she's going to keep walking on by. You might even find a woman that will smother you. But eventually she going to get tired of you.
Right.
And just like every woman that got any respect for herself, they going to leave your ass single.
Single. Woo!
Now, let me tell you on that one right there.
That was good, Jeffrey.
I love that one.
Yeah.
Just because I have to brag. I got a good mom.
Yes, you do.
I got a mother that never tried to smother, never made me a man of nothing. My mom let me know she was more man than me when I was young. You do what I do. You don't want to eat that because you ain't eating.
Right.
She let me know early on, don't pump your chest in the wrong direction.
Right.
But she also taught me love.
Yeah.
She taught me how to never give up on your child. When I had problems with the spelling bee, she stayed up all night. And when I couldn't get it right, she was like, baby, just put it under your pillow. You know, my mama never did say, you ain't right, baby. You, woo, Lord. She just like, baby, just take it on the thing. And them are the days that you got to go back and remember how your parents did the best they could. And they ain't give up on you. So when I'm dealing with mine and I deal with others, and I get frustrated, I'll be like, hold on. Because there was somebody that roots for me now that did not give up on me then.
Right.
So why in the world am I sitting here trying to press when I already know I have to use finesse? She used it with me. She taught me how to do it.
Right.
And that's why I have to make sure we get back to getting to being good people.
Yeah,
Right.
man. Listen,
And that's what she taught me as a good woman, because she did that. Never a smotherer.
yeah.
She was like, you can pick what you want, but obviously you can't pick them, but you ain't been doing good, boy.
Right.
But who you choose, that was your choice.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Listen, I'm so proud of my mother as it relates to how she raised me, because I remember countless numbers of lessons where she was like, "You don't need nobody to do nothing for you. You can do anything for yourself." So early, when like 9 years old, she had me cooking. I'm learning how to cook at 9. I think one night after football practice, she had just finished washing clothes the day before. Now my uniform's all dirty again. She took me out in the garage. We put it in the washing machine. She told me the difference between whites and colors, and she showed me how to do it. And a lot of my friends growing up, they weren't exposed to none of that. Right? They weren't exposed to taking care of the yard. They weren't exposed to washing their own clothes, having to fix their own dinner. And, early in life, at 16, I got a car. My dad was like, hey, you gonna pay for the car and you gonna pay for the insurance and da-da-da-da-da. I wasn't smothered, I was mothered. And my mother used to just really, really pour into me. And I'm telling you, it's probably easy to recognize a man who's been smothered.
Oh, easy.
Because they're spoiled,
Very,
they're
very.
expecting you to do.
Very easy.
Yeah, they're almost chauvinists, I would think, right?
Very easy.
Yeah.
How easy? I mean, because but damn, how easy?
Hey, listen, I have to mention there was a lot of secondary commentary coming out of the bar area.
We don't know what's
tonight.
going on with my neighbor.
Yeah, listen,
she
but
sure
Brother
has
Jeffrey,
me.
she was asking you to preach on.
Reverend Jeffrey.
Yeah. So listen, we can't really do that no justice. We all can identify with that, and let's just go ahead and plant the seed. It works on both sides of the equation.
Yes, it does.
Right, and that it works on both the men and the women's side of the equation. But we received what Jeffrey gave us, and so we'll turn it back to you, Jeffrey. Want to close this out?
All right, so here we go. Listen, men and women, I need you to understand this with nothing but sincerity. Yes, it hurts sometimes when you don't have your mother or your father in your life. And yes, it hurts when sometimes your mother or your father spoils the child. Yes, that can hurt. What I need you to understand is when I said sometimes you got to get out your mother and father's house, you also got to get out of that emotional house that they have imprisoned you in. Now, I don't mean to condescend or say anything negative. Sometimes parents have to do what they have to do. When a parent gives you tough love, eventually you see the meaning behind what it is that they did and why they did what they did.
Right.
Sometimes when the parent, they don't give it to you the right way, it becomes abuse. As adults, we refuse to let go of that. That is what I mean by getting out your mother or your father's house. You are not to blame if they did something hurtful to you. You are responsible for getting through it and releasing yourself from any pain in it. Now, a lot of men and a lot of women are still carrying around a lot of pain, still thinking I can't go see nobody because only white people do that type of stuff. I can't get professional help. And we're walking around hurting ourselves because we won't deal with our emotional or our mental issues.
Yeah.
I'm saying it's time out for that.
Yes.
Brothers, if your mother loved on you too much and she spoils you, it's okay to seek some type of counseling to break that yoke. Ladies, if your father wasn't there and it left you with a void where you're continually punishing your father or the absence of your father,
Yes.
it is okay to seek out professional help to heal that wound.
Yes.
Because once you heal that wound, you free up space for the right type of love to be attracted to you.
Yes.
But you keep walking around with that wound. You don't keep pulling around people that's going to keep picking at that wound and picking at that wound, and they never going to get better.
Absolutely.
And that's all I got.
Woo, that was a
That ain't
mouthful.
all. That right there was a more.
That's it.
Drop the
That's
mic.
every-
Everyone
man.
again.
Bruh.
And that goes back to forget the
That's-
children.
yeah.
That just taught grown people
Yeah.
about a behavior that the kids will learn from.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
he knocked that out the park. I didn't even know you know how to play baseball like that there, Jeffrey. That was a home run, buddy.
Yeah, that was a home run. And what I like about it most is that we all have wounds from growing up. you know, maybe it's the uncle, maybe one of the parents wasn't there, maybe you were mistreated, maybe, you know, I remember my ex-wife used to have this thing in the back of her head because her father wouldn't give her a quarter one morning for milk. And she always thought that he was just being extra mean to her. And I don't know how that really affected her, but, you know, she was holding on to it. So we all have some wounds and some pains from growing up. And if you can't deal with them or manage them yourself, you really need to get help. We talk all the time about nobody's healing. Everybody just kind of going through life with their old wounds, and you can get help. And let me tell you, when you reach for help, it will be there, right? Seeking, you shall find that when you start seeking, whether you just do some Google searches or you read some books or listen to some audio programs, maybe talk to a friend, maybe go back and talk to your mom or your father about what happened in the past, okay? And you know, and there are a lot of extreme situations. You know, we grew up in good homes. But you're talking about kids who were taken advantage of and enslaved and, you know, all kinds of stuff, you know, deprived, you name it. So getting help is the best thing that you can do once you leave your parents' house. But you got to recognize that something is wrong. You got to seek some understanding. And sometimes there may not be anything wrong, but just to talk to somebody might open a door of opportunity up for how you're holding on to stuff.
For sure.
You know, so man, that's a big one, Jeffrey. We are actually talking tonight about raising children in today's environment. What would you say about that subject, Jeffrey?
Look, man, I've heard stories about other people's children that call the police on their parents because their parents dare to hold them accountable with corporal punishment.
Yes.
I will say this to the parents. Parents, you need to quit playing. You need to be in charge of your household.
Yeah.
I understand, yes, you want your children to grow up. I understand, yes, you want your children not to be hampered by too much discipline. I get that. I want you to understand something else. Your children are dependent upon you to set the right type of environment of balance. They have to understand that there's an order to this thing. It's mother, father, and then it's the children.
Right.
Mother, father, and then it's the children. When you raise your children to be respectful of the mother-father dynamic, then they grow up being more respectful when they walk outside of your household. The biggest compliment I ever got was from my son's girlfriend's father. He said, I ain't never liked none of her boyfriends until I met your son. Chest just swelled up. Because I knew I put enough sense in that young man to teach him how to treat a young lady.
Yes.
So everything, parents, if you're not playing around, your children will be a direct reflection of your leadership. If your kids are having the school call you every week, that's on you. That ain't on the school. They got better things to do with their day than call you about your child.
That's
Right.
real.
So I'm gonna need for everybody, all the parents, to quit playing
That's real.
and run these households.
That's real.
Man, that is so awesome, bro. That is
You
so
gonna cause
awesome.
a debate tonight.
Oh,
You
man.
check
You
in.
got my
Yeah.
neighbor talking about preach out, Jeffrey. Yes, Jesus.
Jeffrey, I don't, you know, have you ever thought about a political office, my friend? I believe we need
Yeah,
some
we
of
need a
these
new
messages.
That's what we
Oh,
need.
yeah, we gonna get one of them.
We need a
Don't
new
worry about
president.
that.
Jeffrey for president, y'all. Jeffrey for president.
Yeah. Have you ever considered speaking out in some unique way on the people's behalf, Jeffrey?
I'm sorry, I had to click over because my daughter called me.
That's
Repeat the question so I can bust that thing out.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if you ever had any political aspirations, or if you ever, thought about, just sharing your message in a political way in the world. I mean, man, you got such a powerful way of delivering a message that I
You
think
know,
a
I,
lot of people.
I actually have considered running for office a couple of times. And I'm going to tell you, the only thing that ever stopped me, there are a lot of really messy, nasty people in politics
Yeah.
that will say anything and everything just to win an election.
Yes,
Right.
I'm one of those people that, hey, I can take it. You say whatever you want to say about me. But you say something wrong about my family. You start to go down that road, it ain't politics no more. It's personal.
Right.
So it's some greedy, grimy folks out there, and I've been considering doing something on the council level, the commissioner level, you know, in DeKalb County, because I know if I stood up, that I would be able to, you know, articulate the voice and the needs of the people very, very clearly. And I do serve with my alumni board for Morris Brown College, so I'm active in that way. I have considered it. I just hadn't made that jump yet. Another thing too, you're not gonna buy me. If you're gonna make a donation to my campaign, that's good. I'm gonna represent the people, but you're not buying my vote. You're supporting me, but you're not buying my vote. One thing that really, really aggravates me is for us to have so many black mayors in Atlanta and to see the rates of gentrification going on in black Atlanta. Don't sit there and tell me that all those black politicians did not know what was going on. When they built the Georgia Dome, they tore down at least 15 black churches. Don't tell me the black people that was in charge didn't know what was going on. They moved all those churches out, gave them money, and most of those churches died. They never came back to the community. They might have moved somewhere else, but they died. They don't do stuff like that in nobody else's communities but ours.
Right.
Right now, there are people in Atlanta fighting to keep their property because the city wanted for a damn park.
Right. Right.
They want to build a park in front of the new dome.
Right.
Now, isn't there a big-ass park named Centennial Olympic Park not too far from the dome?
Yes.
So what do they need another big-ass park for?
Jurassic Park.
I'm just saying.
Right. And I believe we heard you say it, my friend.
We did.
And hey, we just can't. We just don't have enough words to share our gratitude, Jeffrey, for who you are and
Vote for Jeffrey.
the message you bring, my brother.
Power to the people.
It's time for us to close on this segment and go to break. Any parting words for us, Jeffrey?
Man, look, I'm about to launch this podcast. Once I launch that podcast, we'll have some type of celebration to jump that puppy off, and we'll make it do what it's gonna do, baby.
We love
We
it.
got it.
And
We got it. But Jeffrey, we also want to let you know September the 20th, I think it is, going to be on a Friday. Definitely want you to come out, man. We're going to go out. 2-year anniversary for Bar Talk with Jay. My boy
Good deal,
Ruby
man.
going to announce it by next week, and we'll let you know exactly what club. Come on out, popping bottles.
Yeah,
Doing it
listen.
big. We ain't talking.
No showmanship tonight. That night, we just gonna
it's
have
about
a good time.
us. It's about
yeah.
we need to make sure we celebrate life because again, y'all have poured so much into my show, so much into my dreams, to my thoughts. I gotta give back.
Absolutely.
So again, we're gonna party. We gonna give awards
Love it.
for everybody that's been here for me because again, without y'all, the show would never be a success. And
Absolutely.
the success is a good plan.
There you
I
go.
planned it, but y'all fulfilled it and took it to a level that only God could do. So thank y'all.
You're very welcome, Brother Jay. And you folks stay with us. You can see we're on fire about a fantastic topic that we all need to dialogue a bit about and get a little better understanding. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
If y'all missed that, I don't know what to tell you, but you gotta go back and check it out. One of the things I can tell you is how you bring it together from the men, the women, and then how he wraps it all up. If you can't grow from that, then you ain't really listening. And that's half the problem of the day.
That's
Right.
When we talk about the kids, what about the adults? Are we really grasping on what's going on? Are we really transcending to our kids a proper way? When we know better, but we don't do better. But we expect them to do better, but we don't tell them better.
Right.
That's oxymoron. My whole thing, and again, my neighbor is like, I'm not gonna come. You talking about kids? I got kids. But you pour into kids. One of the things that I love about people, when you got a good spirit, it's your spirit I need. It's not the commitment. I had kids. I need you to pour back into them, okay? Who said I got it right?
Right.
When I started this, I didn't plan for it. Okay?
Of course
Once
not.
I had to grow toward it. Some things we can't always say we had a parenting book or we read up on.
There is no parenting book.
If it ain't, I'm just trying to tell you, I might want to write one because I can tell you the wrong ways. I can get you a good book real quick on what not to do and what not to say.
Right.
And one of the things I tell the world, don't say nothing negative to your kids ever. Don't denounce them. Do not put them down. At any point, do not clown. Do not joke on how they retarded behinds act.
Yeah.
Say it in the back of your head. Don't say it out your mouth. Stop it. Because again, they attracted everything you say.
Yeah.
Your jokes will be not a joke to them. It will be something that they will hold. That right there, I would tell on anybody. Don't do it to your kids ever. We hear it with Kevin Hart and it sounds so funny. Do not repeat it. These things kids hold on to forever. Remember, they're being teased at school already.
Right.
You're adding to a negative situation and you don't even know it. So my whole thing is, as a parent, I'm going to be quick to tell you, your joke is deeper than Kevin's would ever be. So that kid hits on them all the time. And that little joke you just did brought it all back home. Now you got a child wanting to commit suicide because they don't know a way out. We don't need that.
Right.
They need love because you don't know what they go through. So the minute you want to talk about them, you just don't know they either.
Yeah.
And the problem is, half of them don't tell you because they're scared of you because they see you come home looking frustrated, done worked all day. Mama giving them the business about doing this and that, so now he mad sitting in the corner. So they don't want to tell you how they was getting bullied.
Right.
They sitting there in the corner like, can you recognize me? You be like, why? You ain't saying nothing. If the house is on fire, I guess you just burn up. All right? You can clown, but the bottom line is like, that's why I ain't gonna never say that, because you hurt my feelings. We gotta be more sympathetic and understand. Know your child.
Yeah.
Some of them don't speak, but you know how to make them speak. You know how to bring things out of them. That's yours. You are that best one. Do not expect the teacher to know what you know. You brought them in. Help them. So when they start clowning in school, and Lord knows I got to give it to the school teachers, because they told me my son was acting up. And my wife was like, hey, ain't that bad. I went up to that school, that boy was on the desk, clowning.
Wow.
The one over there behind, yeah, he laughing now.
On the desk?
On the desk.
When you got there?
Man, looking like he Michael Jackson, spinning around. Ooh, I'm like,
And how quick that
boy, he seen me, he was like, ooh, it fell off. Bam. Now the fall looked like it hurt it. So I said, okay, I'm gonna let him have that little fall right there, because that fall, hopefully it did hurt, because what I'm gonna do later,
Right.
I guarantee it.
Yeah.
But you don't want to do everything in front of everybody. But when he was doing his thing, they kept saying he was acting out. You always want to say, nah, it ain't happening. How they described it didn't seem like he would do all that. He did all that.
Right.
He did it how they described it. But the one next to me at that time, my ex-wife, oh no. How can they be saying this? And guess what? I'm lazy. Just getting off work. I don't want to deal with it either. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it couldn't be him. Yeah, I thought about it. Why I couldn't? So instead of me saying anything else to her, I said, I stopped by the school.
And there are a lot of parents who don't want to listen to what those teachers are
But
saying.
you
They
also
believe
don't
it,
want
you
to
know?
take the time off. You got to realize it's an investment. When they said it, I work hard. I'm hard to pay. One thing my kids will tell you, I always work hard. You got to realize what you work hard for and what you're investing in. I invested in that job already, so if they can't invest in me to make sure my kids is good, I might be with the wrong establishment.
Right.
So when I told them, hold on, I need to run to the school. Oh man, you don't never take off. Gone. Went up to the school, and I just went around lunchtime when it was an easy time for me to go.
Right.
And didn't expect to see what I see, because again, when I went, got a little pass to be able to go over to his room and told him where he was. He didn't know I was coming.
Right.
Woo! Cut it through. Doing him.
Caught it red-handed, huh?
What expecting me.
Wow.
Well, maybe his mama probably would have took a little
Yeah.
lighter. Me, I understand some of it, not all of it. But the most important thing is what I loved about him, when he seen me, he fell off. Pow! I didn't say nothing. I didn't have to say, come here. None of that.
Yeah. Let me just comment on your earlier dialogue. I think building kids up and lifting them up is one of the most important things you can do in the house. My parents never talked down to me. They never talked, they never gave me any picture of failure or that I couldn't do it. And I really don't know what kids are getting in their household, but it seems like they're not getting enough of building up. not lifting them up, telling them what they can be, encouraging them to be more than status quo. You have a comment, man?
I was like, here's the thing, it's like the parents are so.
Yeah. We getting some real inside information right here because this young lady is a teacher.
True mentor.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Talk
I
to
do
him.
mentor 2 of my former 6th graders.
Talking to the mic.
So, from what I can tell you from 9 years of teaching, the parents are really getting
Younger.
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 Parents are getting younger. Okay.
And so, like they're like I'm about to turn 35, and there are like parents that are younger than me. So,
Right.
it's kind of
In other
like.
words,
So are you saying their priorities aren't necessarily where they should
Right.
be when it pertains to their children?
Right, and I mean, even with the grandmas and stuff, like,
Yeah.
call me G-Ma. Like,
Uh-huh.
no, you're a grandma. Like, it's
Right.
It's like, no, it's don't sugarcoat it. You're a
Right. It is
grandma.
what it is.
Yeah.
Right. They don't want to be seen as grandma. They don't want to
Right. It's like,
be called grandma.
I'm not old enough. Yes, you are. You're
Clearly you
grandmother.
are.
It is what it is.
So are you suggesting that the younger parents that parents are parents that just aren't equipped to be parents? They haven't lived enough life. They haven't seen enough. They have what's
I think we're coming out of an era where I hate to say it, but having kids is just taken very lightly. And I think they're almost treated as accessories or as income generators in a lot of situations. And so when kids are seen as that, when kids are conceived because of that, then you start out wrong. And so if you didn't have a child because you were in love with the person that you were with, and you just had a child because he about to be balling out of control and let me go ahead and get this check, then you can't expect that person to become a great parent. You have a prevalence of single family households. Like, I remember when I was coming up, I was the only one of my friends whose parents were still married, and my parents are still married to this day.
right.
The only one of my friends whose parents were still together.
So everybody else is seeing people break up.
For sure.
They're seeing a lot of that.
And unfortunately, it's I come from a situation where my paternal grandparents were married for 67 years. My maternal grandparents were married for 54 years. My parents have been married for 40 years. So I've seen good examples of what positive relationships should look like and what it takes to hang in there and just be in and to make a conscious decision to stay in a marriage and tough it out, and you don't see that nowadays with the advent of the internet and this instant gratification, and with so much on social media, all of this deception on social media that everything looks good and is always good. As soon as somebody encounters real life where somebody acts a way that they don't like, then it's, let's get a divorce, let's split up. And it's like, when it's that cheap and when it's that quick and when it's just that shallow, then you can't expect good offspring out of that. Like,
yeah, or to develop your offspring in a good way.
Right.
And I come from, my mom was a single parent. My dad left when I was 9. And he went back to North Carolina. He just died from pancreatic cancer
sorry to hear
in March. So I'm a product of single parent home. And my mom I was the youngest of 3 girls. I didn't know about marriage. I didn't, and even with having a father figure, like, that was never in my life, which that actually caused me to have daddy issues. And I was just telling Phil Phil. I was just telling him how I had low self-esteem for 24 years.
Wow.
And it wasn't until like my dad passed that I realized that I had that because I was an outsider. Like my mom and my sisters, they had the same last name.
Okay.
And I was like the only Neil.
Okay.
And then I was like the tallest person in elementary, middle school. Like my last name is Neil, so people call me Shaq because my name is Shalita. It's like Shaq.
Mhm.
And I was called like Jolly Green Giant, which actually green is now my favorite color. But it's like when you're talking about like students and what they have to deal with at school,
Right.
and then you come home to just like, with me, I felt like an outsider because there was no one like me.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't until my dad passed, which I have like a really big family,
Mm-hmm.
but they're all in North Carolina. I didn't know that I had like 12 aunts and uncles,
Mm-hmm.
and now I understand like, oh, I'm a Neil.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm like that with Halloween. My aunt is the same way.
Mhm.
And like,
Right,
so I'm actually learning like, oh, here are my people. Here are my people.
Here's my tribe.
But, and so with that being said, it's like I said to Phil, it was like 2 weeks after my dad's funeral, I looked at my face for the first time. Like, I'm like, what? Wait, what a minute, wait.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, is this what everybody has seen?
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I told him, like I did pageants, but I never won because it wasn't meant for me to win because I really didn't think that was pretty in the first place.
Mhm.
But you know, with me not winning, I was always like a bridesmaid, never the bride. So I always was runner-up.
Yeah.
But it wasn't meant for me to win those pageants because I really didn't feel that way about
About
myself. But now, like when I tell you,
Mhm.
ever since April, like April of this year, I'm like,
There you go.
what a minute!
Right.
I'm like the.
And
My neighbor done turned new.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
Oh.
We done broke the mic.
Look at you. Look at you.
This is what
You were
happened.
like, you just discovered yourself.
Yeah,
for
I
the
mean,
first
I
time.
really, really did. Like,
Yeah.
when people say, like, what do you mean you didn't think that you were cute? I never thought that. Like,
and listen, think about the children who's got to go home to parents who are dealing with these same issues.
Right.
What are
Right.
they learning? What are they not learning? They're
Right.
learning some bad stuff, and
Right.
they're probably not learning the good stuff.
Right.
You mentioned daddy issues. You mentioned self-esteem
Right.
issues. You mentioned being young, just
Right.
not knowing, you know,
Right.
and maybe wanting to hang out or party and don't have the level of responsibility to care for a home and
Right.
make sure dinner's on the table at the right time, etc.
I don't think people understand how much children observe and how much children really take in and absorb.
Right.
One very common practice with therapy with children is called play therapy. And if you want to know what's going on inside of a child's house, you give them a couple of dolls and you go behind a double-sided mirror and they will tell you everything that's going on inside their house with those two dolls.
Yeah.
And it's mom and it's dad, and then dad start whooping up on mom like, and then here come the police coming knocking at the door. All that tells you everything that's
everything.
going on
Yeah.
inside that child's
Yeah.
home.
And the challenge is we don't catch that until years later
Mhm.
into parenting. You know, a lot of those experiences don't manifest themselves
Yeah.
until they get grown.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and then it's
And you
don't
dealing
want-
with a damaged adult.
right.
Whereas,
You don't want to say it's too late, but you know, it's a long time past. We'll say. It is now time for another break, and I love this conversation. There's a lot of nuggets that are coming out of this, and the question for tonight is raising children in today's environment. How would you handle this situation? And we're talking about parenting skills. We're talking about being aware. We're talking about the fact that there's a lot of environmental issues that are affecting kids. Parents being too young. Parents dealing with their own issues. How can I raise a child in a healthy way if I'm not healthy myself? Just great dialogue, and we just got to take a break. We'll be right back after this, so hold on.
Going back to something that Jeffrey said, which has stuck with me, as far as just having, good examples illustrated. If you want to start talking about solutions to problems, I know one thing that I can definitely remember is my grandmother just having real life talks with me. And I can remember one time my grandfather was coming from a job or whatever. And I was probably 6 or 7. And she was like, go into the refrigerator and get your granddaddy's beer out the refrigerator. And I was like, oh, okay. She was like, he coming down the road. He coming down the driveway. I said, okay. She said, go in there and turn the golf tournament on and put the beer on his chair. I said, okay, Grandma. Went ahead and did that. She said, now when he come in here, he gonna go straight to the room. And he gonna close the door. Don't bother your grandfather. When he come out that room, he gonna be ready to be bothered. And I said, okay. And I just watched this scene play out. And that's exactly what happened. He came in, he went straight to the back room. He came out about 45 minutes later. He went straight to that chair, he got his beer, and he started looking at the golf tournament. And then I could talk to him. And that carried over into my household. My mama did the same thing, because my grandmother told my mom, this is how you need to handle my son.
That's right.
And if you look, it's biblical. Men need time to decompress when they come home. If you want to read it in Song of Solomon, Song of Solomon tells you everything you need to know about relationships if you decide to read the Bible.
Give it to him. Give it to him.
Okay.
But and I carry that over into my household. So when I have a dude, and let's be very clear, you don't do this for everybody. Everybody don't get this treatment.
Right.
That's good material.
Okay, right. Everybody don't get this treatment.
Right.
But I remember one of my exes came to my door. I had his liquor sitting on the bar. I had his favorite cigar sitting next to that liquor, and I had a matchbox. When he came through my door, standing at the door, I took his coat, hung it up. How you doing? Chill out. And that's how you set tone in your household.
Yeah.
Your man should view your household as a place of sanctuary. He shouldn't. The day your man start dreading coming home,
is the day you gonna lose it.
that's the day he gonna find another place to go.
If he hadn't already. Right.
It's about setting tone, but it's also about illustrating to your children how you treat one another.
Yes.
Because just like my grandmother went out her way to make sure that my grandfather had a sanctuary when he came home, just like my mother went out of her way to make sure my father viewed his household as a sanctuary. I saw that.
Yeah.
That got instilled in me as a child, and I mimicked that. But it goes back to what Jeffrey said. How you looking for a husband and you ain't never seen one? How you gonna tell a man how to be if you don't know what a good man look like?
Right.
So if you grew up with the illustration of men whooping your mama's butt, that's in your mind, that's what that's supposed to look like. That's how men are supposed to treat me. And so at some point we have to, it goes back to what you said as far as breaking that cycle and getting the help that you need in order to break those, what we call family curses.
Right.
And that only happens when people are sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Right.
So my
But-
question,
What's your question?
what you were talking about with your grandfather and your grandparents. So I'm like you, like, you know, but I'm getting divorced now. But
I understand.
but it's kind of like you set the tone, and then what happens if your husband just that becomes like what they expect, but they don't do it for you?
Then as soon as you see they're not doing it for you, then that's when you have a conversation. Because their love language and your love language could be two totally different things.
I read that book,
Uh-huh.
Five Love Languages. I am receiving gifts. And he's personal touch and acts of service. And I'm multilingual because I do. I always cook. Yeah, because I can't cook.
Yeah.
So, oh God, like when I was in college,
Yeah.
there was nobody cook.
No, I'm the only one of my friends that can cook. So yeah, I got you.
Y'all shedding a very bad light on the world, but okay, keep going.
Listen,
I make
Just
biscuits.
saying.
I make biscuits from scratch.
Yeah.
I don't do this.
Oh, hold on. We're gonna have
I
a
never saw that
cook-off.
in
Bar
you.
Talk
I
with
never
Jay
saw
gonna have
that
a
in
cook-off with the women
Hey, listen, let's not
in the near future.
Yeah, let's not change up too much here.
Well, I don't know about change up. I'm trying to
I
eat.
make white gravy with salsa.
Wow, we don't eat tomorrow.
Here's what happens is people if you know if the father or the grandfather could have taken it for granted or started to take it for granted. Now there was probably that thing that he did for his wife that maybe nobody knows, or you know he did it readily, you know, so that she got her fulfillment as well.
You brought that check home every week.
That's right. Because you got to think about it, it's a lot of things
That could-
done
that could
behind
be-
closed doors. But also, to me, for her to tell her or you to do this, she already felt fulfilled. She felt fulfilled enough that she want to pass on a legacy.
Right.
Because
Right.
this is what a good man can do for you.
Right.
So this is what you need to do for
a good
him,
man,
but you
exactly.
can understand and
Exactly.
pass it on. Because if it ain't a good man, why tell?
Right.
But see, that's the problem with today is we thinking. That's why we ain't making it. So let's get back to being real. Well, we don't really talk, we work like the Joneses. That's why a lot of people look good, but in their real household, they ain't good. And my whole thing is because a lot of times that dialogue, that miscommunication, people are doing the right things. It's just not being reciprocated. It's not being passed through in a way that another person feel respected and I'm valued.
Right.
It's just, I do all these things. I'll put the beer there for you. I got the channel on for you. But you don't go in the room. You give me your hair.
Right.
So now, our home ain't our sanctuary.
Right.
It becomes our hell. Well, I don't know if y'all really recognize this or not, but hell ain't down. And the heavens, everybody, listen, it's how you live. And if you bring that home, you bringing hell home. So what you keep saying, you don't want to die and go, it's why you live. You bringing it there. So stop that. And that's why I love the fact you go somewhere and decompose. What you do at work, you got to do for whatever reason to bring money to your home. But home should not have to deal with everything you deal with.
That's right.
So you got your moment, you good, you sit down, you watch your favorite program, your kids come up, it shouldn't be a fuss or argument. At the dinner table, phone's off. It goes off 24/7. I know a lot of y'all got high-powered jobs that got a call. It can be a point where at a certain time, I have to live my life.
Right.
You tell your job, you gotta respect it.
Right.
This time, phone off, and it's my kids' time, my family time.
Right.
And now, they feel like they're important now.
Exactly.
Because you making big money. You doing big things. Dad, every time I turn the light switch, it's on. Dad, you got a nice car. Dad, you looking clean. You wear nice suits all the time. How can I be like you? But you don't have time to talk to them because I gotta take this call.
Yeah.
I gotta do this. I gotta do that. That's the disconnect.
Yeah. What just came to mind was how we teach our kids about real world. I see white families bringing their 10, 12, and 14-year-old kids to the dealership and making them sit there and pay very close attention to what happens.
That's right. How you work that deal?
How you buy that car, how you work the deal, what you look for in the car.
And about the payments, it's about that APR. What's that interest rate looking like?
There you go.
It ain't where I want.
So,
Bring it back.
and those are things that we really got to start focusing on teaching our kids. I see it every day that people, grown folk, we're talking about 40, 50, 60-year-old folks, still are clueless in how to buy a car and get taken advantage of and all that other good stuff.
Remember I bought my vehicle? Who came up there with me? Both my boys.
Both your boys, yeah.
I run both my boys. When I bought my vehicle, because I wanted to make sure Kraft showed them the experience. And they sat there through the process. They didn't get to hear the financial end, like I would have loved them to hear. Because again, they bring that confidential to me.
Right.
But one of the things I love, that they seen the process and it wasn't as long as everybody say. I wanted them to feel how it should be for you to be treated.
Right.
But make sure you understand what you do.
Right.
And he didn't take my van. I'm gonna tell you that right now. Pat did not take my. He told me to take that raggedy thing back home. Anyway, go ahead.
I mean, here's the thing, and that's what I was talking to him about. Like, and I used to teach U.S. history. So, so what you don't understand, well, people don't understand is like, we have really only been free. We were second-class citizens, especially in the South.
Right.
So, and then with the South, the education is right. And so there are a lot of parents that do not know. I mean, like, I just actually learned about Dave Ramsey because my uncle told me about that. I didn't know.
Gotcha.
I'm the first person to go to college on both sides.
Okay, gotcha.
So you have to also understand that situation, that pretty much all the ancestors, they're sharecroppers.
Right.
Like, you know, especially when you're in the South. So learning about APR and all of that stuff, like, you don't know better.
That's exactly right. And you know, the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer because of the lack of knowledge. You know, if you are, and I think what we're all attempting to do is to just learn how to be better parents. And even if we don't have children, you know, we're still a parent in some way to the world. And sometimes that might mean our friends, and sometimes that might mean our confidants, and, you know, coaching and helping people next to us. But there's a lot of lack of understanding going on in our world. And in order to teach children, you got to have some understanding. And in the way the world is now, I think it's important to be very proactive with knowledge and information and learning. And you got to really, I think it's important to teach your kids that learning is important. And that, my dad used to always ask me about, he'd ask me things like, so Junior, what you gonna do this weekend? And it was like Tuesday. I was like, I don't know. He's like, well, the grass got to get cut. The garage got to do. We're gonna do that little project, and you got a football game going on. Your grandmother's birthday is on Sunday, so we going to birthday. And so he named all these things, and I know what he was doing. He was trying to let me be forward thinking, right? So yeah, when Friday gets here, I got to do this, I got to do that. Yeah, I can't probably spend that money because I'm gonna have to do this, that for grandma, and etc. And so he taught me forward thinking. He was real proactive with me, and maybe those were lessons that he was just learning for himself, and he just passed it on. The other half of it is we had a fabulous relationship. I completely respected my dad. I got all the love in the world. I had everything I ever wanted before I could ask for it. But at the same time, I was the guy who would not leave my dad in the yard by himself and go and play. I wanted to make sure I helped my dad. I hated to see my dad sweat. That was one of my pet peeves. When I saw my dad sweat, it was like he's carrying too much burden for me. That was just my heart. But he taught the responsibility of accountability and time management and planning your day and planning your life. We have to take more proactive ownership of ideas that we need to teach our children.
Here's the thing, like, talking to everybody that's in the table. Like, y'all grew up with a two-parent household, or you grew up with, you know, your dad, your mom. There are people like me that didn't grow up like that.
Right.
There are people like me that grew up in an apartment that didn't have grass to cut.
Right.
There are, and that's, and I think there are, it's more people like me now. And it's because
We know homeowners association hate
Right.
those people because they don't cut their grass.
Right.
so it's
Right.
you kind of have to like realize that like I'm listening to
Yeah.
like you know your stories and all that stuff, but there are also people like me
Right.
that did not get to experience that.
Right. And so now you've been deprived of that, but you can kind of see what you missed.
Right.
That is the time and place to start instilling it in
And that's
the
why I'm
kids.
a mentor.
That's why you're a mentor. That's right. Yeah.
She feeling the gap.
Yeah.
That's what I love about a mentor. Because I might not have had all what y'all might have had.
Right.
But I got enough feeling and I got enough love that I can still pour in that glass. Because again, as long as it ain't overfilled, it can receive.
There we go. There we
And
go.
then once it receives and they pour into another glass, I left a legacy.
There you go.
But
There you
leave
go.
a positive legacy.
Uh,
Not this negativity that I keep seeing.
Yeah.
The scariest thing about our kids is when I watch YouTube. And YouTube now caters to me. They starting to show me what I like.
Right.
And they got me paid. Okay,
Right.
I'm looking, I'm like, hey.
Right.
I'm like, hold on. How y'all know what I like? You keep going to certain things, they automatically put certain things towards you.
Right.
So guess what? I looked at some of that stuff I like before I change. So even though I say, oh yeah, I like it, I'm also getting bored of it.
Right.
Because once you start developing, you start changing.
Yeah.
And I want our kids to change like you change.
Yeah.
But that calls us to have a dialogue.
There you go.
Them kids only seeing you smile. You ain't saying why. So they don't know how to smile like you smile because you ain't even saying why.
Right.
So help them out. Reach back. Because they want to smile too.
Yeah.
Give them a good reason and push them forward past you.
There you
To
go.
me, technology is moving so fast.
Yeah.
We can't say things that they can't Google because Google's changed
Right.
the world. You saying something, daddy, that what you just said, that ain't even a word. Now, first of all, and we make up words sometimes. I don't know about all cultures, but I can tell you I mess King English up. I make my own stuff up sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's nothing better than when somebody comes out and say, hey, that ain't even work. You know, because you need to be checked.
Right.
Because you can't keep doing that and thinking it's okay.
Right.
Man, me and my brothers, we do a men's meeting all the time. Man, the first thing you throw two words together that no good well, they ain't no, we call each other out.
Yeah.
Now, what I love about it, we have fun with it, but we got to stop doing it.
Yeah.
Because when you get in front of somebody of importance, ignorance shows.
Yes,
when
it
you're
does.
not ignorant at all.
Yes.
It's just you got comfortable
Right.
doing something that you don't need to be comfortable doing.
Right.
Now, if my brothers did it, and we all doing it together, and we're laughing about it, but we're changing and growing, our kids do too. So when they start doing and emulating bad behavior, bad English, we need to do the same
There
thing.
you go.
Because they need to make sure when they in front of proper people, they can dialogue
Right.
with the best of them. And then
Yeah.
guess what? It's like what Jeffrey said.
And
Somebody gonna come back and say, you know something, I might not like most kids, but I like yours.
right.
Because they emulated something that I respect.
Yeah. And what
That's
they were
you.
what they were emulating, they saw it dozens of times. You know, they saw, and you know, I kind of just wanted, as we close out, I kind of want to just throw out a list of things that maybe a parent who's really interested in being the best parent or doing better for their children, doing better for themselves, their family, what would they focus on in teaching their children?
Let me get
Just some qualities, some
I like
attributes.
this.
So one thing that I have noticed about youth today is that there is a significant lack of critical thinking skills.
Yes.
Critical thinking skills.
Yes.
One thing my father used to do with me is that he would give me a task and he would just sit back and watch me.
Yes.
And watch me complete the task. And as I was coming up against obstacles, or if I couldn't figure something, he'd be like, okay, so what's wrong? What you thinking about?
Right.
And that was our opportunity to engage, and he could see where I was intellectually,
Right.
where I was strong, where I was weak, and where he needed to, as a father, be better.
Yes.
And make sure, not necessarily focus on making sure I was seeing things the right way, but making sure I wasn't seeing them the wrong way.
Right. And making sure you were thinking.
And making sure you were thinking,
Yes.
you were using your brain.
Yes.
A lot of
So
times,
important.
you know, you see parents nowadays, and it's like they go ahead and do stuff for their kids because they ain't got time to, they're very impatient. It's like, because then you end up raising sorry men who
Right.
expect a woman to do everything for them, Jesus.
Right.
And then you had this conversation like, you need to pop your mama's titty out your mouth because you don't,
Right.
So it's
That's
like,
good. That's good. Critical
right.
thinking.
Critical thinking skill.
And critical thinking, really, what I heard in the midst of that, take ownership, take responsibility.
Yeah. If you
uh,
mess up, say you messed up.
say you messed up.
It's
That's-
a lesson learned. It's okay to mess up.
Yeah.
Look who's the president. He messing up every day.
Right. What?
Oh,
You know what about?
Shots fired. Shots
you know,
fired.
I think naturally as a parent, we're gonna always come against issues where the child might not tell the truth, and they might, tell a story, they might lie, and may become a fabricator or fantasy-minded. That's the time to correct them,
Right.
check them, talk to them about the way they think,
Right.
talk to them about what they can do in life,
Right.
give them enough hope to hang on to. We all live on a promise. Give them a hope that they can be rich, they can be a doctor, they can be a teacher, they can be successful, they can overcome having only one parent in the house. They, teaching them how to love. That's a very unique one. Hugging your children, holding their hand, helping them with their homework. For the older children, when your child becomes 13, 14, 15, they're involved in so many activities, you almost don't even see them or talk to them during the week. Make time for them. Show up at their events. Show them how to give. I remember countless numbers of times my father giving people standing on the side of the road money. But I also remember the people that he decided not to give money to. Oh, he's like, oh no, they there all the time. They there every day. They don't appreciate. They going around the corner and do something bad with their money. And so I got to experience my father's thought process about how to help the homeless, about how to help the needy. Wealth and money management. We gotta spend more time on that. Simple things like checking accounts and savings accounts and balancing your checkbook, and don't spend more than you have. Learn a skill set that will make money. Set up the lemonade stand for your children. Sell the candy bars, with the football team to make money. All of those things teaches your children valuable lessons about how to live life as a grown-up.
Right.
And if you don't know, even as a grown-up, if you just don't have have things right, there's nothing wrong with going to ask for help yourself.
That's right.
I meet credit challenged people every single day, and they all need help. There's half of them will come in just humble, wanting help, asking questions, get me through it. They want to build a relationship with me because then they know I'll protect the deal, right? Those are people who know how to manage life a little bit, even though they don't have the knowledge or the skill or the money. Then there are other people who come in, they got bad credit, and they don't want to listen to what I got to say. And I'm the guy who can help get them over the hurdle. You got to check those attitudes about arrogance and just, being ashamed because you don't know. Even as parents, we're never going to stop learning. There's never an opportunity to stop growing in life. And so, we want to pass down a lot of good things to our children, but it's impossible for us to help our children if we are not first willing to help ourselves. And so, lifelong learning has got to be a part of the menu for developing children and for developing a home and developing families. Not just learning a language or anything, but maybe learning how to wash your car, maybe learning how to clean a bedroom, maybe learning how to, take care of your grass and your lawn, maybe learning how to do some investments, how to get on some of these cryptocurrencies and learn that. Maybe how to start an internet business, how to do your own hair, how to take care of your own skin. There's a lot of things that we need to continue to grow in. And if we as parents focus on growth and our children see us reading books and developing ourselves and taking college courses, I guarantee you that will be what they want to do when they get 20, 30, 40 years into their life. They'll be dedicated to lifelong learning as well.
With everything that both of you guys said, the main thing is like parents, and put me as a non-parent, as a former teacher, you have to pay attention to your kids.
Yes.
Yes.
And you know, like we were talking about critical thinking, in order for you to actually think about that, then you have to pay attention to your kids.
Right.
So it's like cutting the grass. You have to want to instill that in your kids.
Right.
So you're going to have to start paying attention. And like what you said earlier, is like, you know, a lot of people have kids for, you know, different reasons. But, you know, they didn't ask to
Kids don't ask to be here.
They don't ask to be here.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like you have to realize that like having a kid, that's a lifelong responsibility.
Right.
So you have to realize, like, hey, you have to take care of this person.
Right.
But, you know, don't, like, sugarcoat it or, like, don't do everything for them. Like, that's not paying attention if you're doing everything for your kid.
Right.
You just need to show them, like, I'm not going to always be here.
Right.
You know,
And the world don't care.
And the world don't care. So you need to, like, I mean, even with my mom had multiple sclerosis, and when she died 10 years ago, but she knew that she wasn't going to be here. So that's when I could reach the stove, and you know, I was tall, so I learned how to cook ahead when I was 5.
Right.
You know, because she knew that she was not always going to be there.
Yes, that's a great.
And so that's like you have to pay attention to
You
your
gotta pay
kids.
attention.
Right.
Absolutely.
And like I tell anybody, everybody's story is going to be somewhat different, but truthfully, I like to give it back to you. One of the things I learned right now, hearing everybody, is everybody going through something different, and I don't want nobody to feel that their story is not being heard. It's about what you're telling and what you're going to seed into.
Right.
So know your children. Okay, you seed it, don't give up on it. One of the problems I'm hearing today is you let them run wild because you're letting go of that seed. It got to be nourished.
Right.
So how you might have been abused or anything you might have went through what they need to go through. So change what you do and you'll get a better harvest.
Don't give up on, man, is such a powerful statement, man, because we know it's hard. You know, if your children are growing up and they're learning a bunch of stuff on the street, they're being exposed to ideas that you would never have taught them. You may not know anything about yourself. And they're getting into trouble, they won't do right, they won't come home, you find out they may be on some drugs. You cannot give up on them. You know,
There's a song, break every chain. You gotta understand, there's gonna be a lot of things coming against you.
Yeah.
And your kids gonna probably put you through more things than anybody else can.
Right.
Because they're gonna touch you more deeply.
Right.
Than most people that you just let in your circle.
Yeah, you're more concerned about them, you know.
They're part of their bloodline.
But and we know, especially in the black families, we know that moms don't give up, you know. But there does come a time where developing them might mean pushing them away.
That's right.
That's just hard
And
love.
saying no to
Right.
them.
Remember, hard love is not giving up on love.
Yeah.
It's just it don't seem like I love you because some of the harsh things I gotta do because of the decisions that you're making.
Right.
That is just a change of course. What I have to do for you to recognize what you do. That's
Yeah.
all hard love is all about.
And that's
So a lot of
yeah.
kids be like, man, my parents, listen, don't trip. Understand what you do. So if they come harsh at you, it's like, why? It's because of your actions and what you're showing them. I can't keep doing because I don't like where you're going.
Right.
That decision is up to you.
And then, you know, there comes a time where the mother and father say, I'm not gonna let you tear my house down.
Oh, that's right.
Oh no.
And
Ever.
if you're gonna be that far away from us, I have no choice but to
Leave that
close
house.
the door.
Oh, that's
And
right.
that's good parenting. But at the same time, call the teacher or the professor and see if they can give some insight, or get a truancy officer or somebody. Somebody call and get some help.
I'm telling you right now.
Yeah, well, listen, we need them, right? That they don't mean that we don't need them, but we don't. I ain't heard that in a long time. Myself. That came off the top of my head.
You caught yourself on that one.
My kid's 19
One
and
thing
20.
I can tell you is,
I ain't-
sometimes when they come and they bring friends, because you gotta recognize their friends.
Yes, you do.
They bring people that you already know might steer them in a direction other than you choose.
Yeah,
And a lot of times when you try to tell them about their friends, you notice that divide.
yeah.
Ain't no last calls here.
Bar Talk with Jay.